Welcome back, everyone. Hope everyone is feeling refreshed after this short break. So let's move into our final panel discussion moderated by Dr. Saroj Koul on the topic of talent development in procurement and supply chain. Dr. Saroj Koul, an esteemed academic with over 35 years of experience in operations and supply chain management. She holds a PhD from IIT Delhi, a master's in system engineering in IIT Roorkee, and a bachelor's in electrical engineering from the University of Kashmir. Dr. Koul spent 24 years at Bharat Heavy Electricals Limited before transitioning to academia. With over 45 research papers, 2 authored books, and numerous awards, including the Distinguished Women Researcher in Supply Chain Management Award 2023, she is a respected leader. Her expertise spans system dynamics, supply chain management, and digital privacy, making her a sought-after expert in her field. Dr. Koul, the virtual floor is yours. Please introduce our panelists and guide us through this exploration of procurement's exciting future.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Welcome all to this panel discussion on talent development. So I understand it is on procurement and supply chain management. I now introduce you all quickly to the esteemed panelists. First, Dr. Chandan V. Kumar. He has a doctorate in hospital management and he has an elaborate CV. He has received prestigious national and international awards and certification. The list is quite long, but one thing that I could gain from his CV is that he is India's first healthcare management professional to have a place in the prestigious World Book of Records and the Guinness Record. He received the Six Sigma Healthcare Excellence Award for his novel concept, 4D music model for healthcare sustainability in 2020. Welcome, Dr. Kumar. Next, we have Captain Riya, Nehra. Captain Riya is a competent, self-motivated professional with 20 years of experience in supply chain management, pre-sales, and solution development, sourcing and procurement services. She is a captain, that means she was in the defense prior, where she managed logistics and large warehouse operations. That means a lot of investment would have gone through her hands. Currently, she is the global head. He is the global head, of solution design and the COE at Infosys BPM India. As the head of the Infosys BPM, the business process management, really I had to learn what is it all. Subsidiary of Infosys, providing integrated sourcing and transformation services. So that means a lot of changes that is going today. We are talking about digitalization and things. Yes, we are able to do it and she is doing it. The last member on the panel is Ms. Meenakshi Natarajan. Meenakshi has 2 decades of multifaceted experience in supply chain functions, working for MNCs, manufacturing companies, and the great EPC contractors, Bechtel. Currently, she is associated with Air Products and Chemicals India as their global product sourcing manager. She is also a global ambassador of the Society of Women Engineers and has several certifications. This includes the Lean Sigma 6 belt, black belt, the PMP, wonderful, and the CPSM from ISM USA. So with these brief introductions, let me now introduce the topic to the panel. So it is talent development, procurement domain, and supply chain domain. My 2 points. This morning at the IPC 2024 conference, online conference, through its various speakers and presentations from the private and public sector, they emphasized revolutionizing procurement. Digital transformation in the procurement sector, developing sustainable strategies, and the use of AI were some of the inferences. There are many of them, but these were typical which I would like to use them in our panel discussion. Depending on the organization's IT environment, both in the public and the private sector, we are either 1 or 2 steps up the ladder and need to climb more rungs. And this is in the area of procurement. I myself have been in BHEL for about 24, 25 years, and through my hands, there must have gone over 700 contracts. So it was all learning. So BHEL has been my mother. I learned all development, even how to develop specifications. It was all done by hand. It was all done by learning. It was all done by senior sending it to the juniors. So it was like that, but now it is not possible. So I want to talk about 2 points now further. Out of my 2 points, this is the second point. In India, we plan to become a 5 trillion economy by a specific date. It entails massive investment in the infrastructure, be it public or private. Secondly, the National Logistics Policy 2022, which completed 2 years yesterday, upon complete alignment with the PM Gati Shakti framework, entails world-class modern infrastructure and logistics synergy for people and goods in India by 2027. Then the second phase is by 2030. Together, these 2 programs envisage improving logistics services, see here the word logistics, and human resources through streamlining processes, regulatory frameworks which are also not properly in place, skill development, that means for people who would be educating up to a certain level and joining the low rungs in the organizations. Then there's a point, mainstreaming logistics in higher education and adopting suitable, which is called as technologies, they can be digital and all that. So while massive expenditure is planned, 25% of GDP is happening in public procurement and additional development in the private sector, the development of specific skill set in the procurement domain, to me, remains unclear. They talked about logistics in higher education. What happens to the procurement people? So here in this panel, we identify the evolving skills landscape, the role of technology, and the strategies for building a future-ready workforce in the procurement and supply chain domains. So these are 3 small pointers that we will be discussing together, and this will become relevant to procurement and the role of leaders in developing talent and the possible routes Indian managers and officers can take to build or train talent in the procurement area. What I plan to do with this background, I would like to ask specific questions. They can be sometimes individual or they can be to a panel, to the panel members. So in the first round, we would like to start up with 3 questions. So to Mr. Vinoth, how can procurement leaders effectively identify and develop future leaders within their teams? So this is at the higher level in an organizations. Ms. Meenakshi, I would like, because she is in the industry and she is trying to build her staff. So how do you assess the skill gaps in the staff and the ways that needs to be built up? And finally, the Infosys person, it would be very interesting to get some e-learning enhancing talent development tools, digital tools in the procurement area. We will all speak for 3 minutes and then I would like to summarize and then we will go into a second round. So Mr. Vinoth Kumar, the floor is for you.
Thank you, madam. First of all, I thank ISM for providing me this opportunity. The procurement leaders, they can identify future leaders by looking beyond technical skills and focusing on behaviors that demonstrate leadership potential. To effectively identify and develop future leaders within the procurement team, we focus on both performance indicators and also leadership potential. Uh, we start by identifying the team members who consistently demonstrate strong analytical skills, negotiation skills, and problem solving skills. However, the soft skills are equally important, like, for example, like communication skills, and importantly, the emotional intelligence and adaptability. These are all often the key differentiators for leadership potential. Once we identify the potential individuals, uh, we ensure they have access to the continuous learning opportunities. We encourage them, these members, team members, to pursue certifications, attend workshops and conferences, and stay updated with emerging procurement trends, which can help develop their technical expertise. At the same time, we provide them with the leadership development programs. Lastly, I believe in creating a culture of feedback wherein the regular performance reviews and coaching sessions can help individuals reflect on their progress, and also that on building the self-awareness and thereby continually improve. By combining all the strategies, uh, we can able to develop leaders who are all prepared to drive procurement's strategic value in the organization.
Thank you very much. So you started with behavior, looking at the behavior of the person, right? And then developing all the different types of skills, providing them continuous learning opportunities, meeting and getting certification. So you will be providing them leave and all that. This happens at the top level, right? So Meenakshi, I would like to understand from you. I mentioned the question, but I would like here now to address it like that. So in the staff, how would you assess this skill gap?
So thank you so much, Saroj ma'am, for the nice introduction, and thank you ISM for this opportunity. So to answer your question, Saroj ma'am, the skill gap is the difference between the current skills that the employee of an organization have versus that are required by the company right now or in the near future to keep up its graph of success. So these skills may be hard skills such as sourcing, procurement, expediting, management, or it may be the soft skills also, like problem solving, emotional intelligence, like Mr. Vinoth mentioned, and some trade skills depending on the different job roles in question. So to identify the skill gap analysis has to be conducted. It is a three-step process which includes determining the desired skills, like Mr. Vinoth mentioned, for a particular leadership traits. The main technical skill he may be looking is for analytical, and for the soft skill that he will be looking for this emotional intelligence, all those stuff. So, what are the desired skills in the current role or in the future? And then assessing a candidate's skills and identifying the gaps. So the first and foremost step is to plan. Planning shall happen in two ways. One is at individual level and then the organization level. So if you take an individual, like if they want to have a leadership transition or prepare an employee to transit to the leadership position, it will happen in the individual level. So organization can identify the skill that a job requires, the leadership position, and compare them to an employee's actual skill level currently. And then if you take it in the organizational level, organization can determine if their employees have the skills to work on an upcoming project, or if they need to hire the external employees, hire externally. So this analysis can help organizations target their employee training programs to develop the skills they need. Say, for example, if the organization expects to get a mega project in a different geography, or a project related to the new products, then they need the experts for that particular region or some special skills for that particular projects. So the organization has to assess whether their employees possess that or not. And then the second step, okay, we have planned what is required. And the second step is to identify the important skills. Even my co-panelist, Mr. Vinoth Kumar, has mentioned, like, if at all he has to select a person for the leadership, what are all the key traits that he will be looking for, that any organization may be looking for. So we have to identify the important desired skills that is required, and the skill level. For a leadership level, the emotional intelligence may be of high importance, whereas the on the job, whatever the data reports or data preparing the data, that skill may be at the very low level, for a leadership position. So we have to identify the key skills required for that particular job, and the skill level also. In that way we can identify the key skills. Then the third step is to having identified what are all the future projects and the key skills required for that, and what is the skill level. Then the third steps comes to the measuring. Currently, what are all the skills level available within the organization, and what are all the skills level that need to be developed, or we have to outsource, or we have to hire externally. So all these things based on the measurement of this current skills. So to measure the skills level, normally organization use the surveys, assessments, or in the portal they will ask all the employees to fill out their current skills level, where are the projects they have worked in the future, their past experience level, all those stuffs, and interviews with the employees, and obviously the performance feedbacks. So this is how the measurement of the current skills level will happen. So normally the skill gap can also result from the limited experience, especially in the case of new hires. So organization can bridge the skill gaps through mentoring, training, succession planning, and other initiatives to develop the skills. So this is how the various organizations that I have associated with, they try to bridge the skill gaps.
Yeah, thank you very much. And now, Captain Riya, can we we understood what is happening at the senior level and what is happening at the lower level. So we would like to understand from you that what possible digital tools or e-learning tools can enhance talent development in procurement?
Sure. I think it's been a it's personally been a very learning discussion so far. And I think some of the points that you brought on, and as well as Vinoth and Meenakshi, I think they're all indicating towards two things. One, that we definitely need to build talent in sourcing and procurement and supply chain space, given the markets are evolving. The second and most important thing is we need to also have a plan in place to make sure that we are, augmenting or having very structured talent development interventions. Now, both these things, right? Every organization struggles to provide, or to kind of plan for this. And many a times there is a requirement to very quickly meet the requirements that are emerging, which means that our teams in procurement and supply chain have to be ready. Now, how do you do that? That's exactly where these, the digital solutions and come in. Now the world is evolving, right? There are two things which I would, want to kind of highlight very quickly. Now, one part which I mentioned was to ensure that our teams are skilled to meet the new market dynamics and business requirements. Now, if you see, many organizations with their technology disruption and the AI and Gen AI solutions which have kind of come in the market, every organization wants to leverage those to drive efficiency and savings, which means that there is a requirement to get into the digital side of learning. So your teams have to be digitally, I would not just say literate, but they should be able to kind of, also identify opportunities to engage or bring in solutions while they don't need to do the coding, but they still need to bring out certain solutions, or they need to have an understanding before, they can actually implement them in their space, number one. The second thing, if you see the market, the market is very dynamic with the COVID situation that just went by, the war that happened in Europe, that has kind of changed the whole dynamics in terms of the markets have been shifting. So which means that risk management, supply risk management, and third party risk management are also some of the very critical areas that, the procurement and supply chain, professionals have to be literate about. And the third very important thing is on the sustainability requirements. Now, every company, every global organization who is a responsible organization is looking, or they already have set target for themselves, with regard to the Paris Agreement. Now, procurement is very centrally located to deliver on these objectives. And what is also changing is that if you see in Europe, in different regions, there are different types of compliance and regulatory requirements that have come in, which means that our teams have to be literate or have to be well versed with those requirements as well. So there is a huge lot of work to be done. And with that, I think if you have to look at it, it has to be done very quickly. So how do you do that? So that's exactly where the digital solutions would come into play. The way that I see digital solutions is there are 2 or 3 things which I will talk about. When you're talking about managing training programs for global organizations, the traditional methods were that you would get into a face-to-face classroom-based models, on-the-job learnings, and then specialized interventions. And many a times, we would also invite in esteemed experts to come and talk. All of those are very good. But I think the way that it is changing is that we want to have a consistent training experience in the light of global teams. The second thing is also that the work culture itself has changed, right? People are working hybrid, people are working remote. Now, how does that happen? So that means that the digital learning solutions will have a very, very major role to play going ahead. Yeah. You already see, the platforms like Udemy, all of these have come up, right? And they're offering a lot of Coursera. These are offering, some brilliant courses, and there are corporate, tie-ups also with that. ISM, again, if we are part of the esteemed panel, but if you see that, there are so many programs that are, offered by ISM and which are also, being delivered. Now, the idea is to standardize these programs, and that's where your digital solutions and e-learning platforms will have a play. The second thing is the agility with which you need. Now you have a new team which is coming in, right? The new team or a new team member being onboarded. The traditional method is somebody will tell him or her that, there is a, you need to know this is the procurement policy, go to the SharePoint and then, read through, then come ask questions. So that onboarding process is itself quite delayed. Through technology, you can actually make it much more faster and quite agile. The third thing that could also happen is in terms of, specialized interventions. So for example, a person is able to see their own learning path on the digital system itself, which means that you are able to identify, what is the next level for you. And that is linked to your growth in the company. As you grow from the ladder of, say, I'm from the core, sourcing and procurement domain in Infosys, where we offer, sourcing and procurement as a service, which Meenakshi was also talking about. Most clients come to us because of skill gaps, understanding of technology gaps, and that's where, we kind of come in. So our people also have to be very, very well versed with, all of the changes in the market. And how does then that happen? This is where, we are kind of leveraging already certain technologies. We have, implemented an online training platform called Lex, which is actually available to every employee within, the Infosys environment, which is not just, I'm talking about the business process side of it, which from where I belong, but the entire Infosys. Now, what happens is your domain, your behavioral, your digital, your analytical skills, your ESG skills, they are all mapped to your growth journey. People have access and clear visibility on what they are supposed to achieve and by when. And the most important and the better thing is that as managers, you are able to keep a track of what is the skill gap. Now, that is where Meenakshi was going, right? How do you identify and how do you address it? I think the first thing is to identify. Now, this is something that is happening in the market where you are actually able to look at the system and be able to kind of assess, or even using Gen AI or AI-based predictions, even, kind of preempt that, this is a person who is going to get into this role in next 2 years. So this is the training that has to happen now. This is the, this is the kind of thing that has happened. So this is all the power of digital that can be enabled. Now, using digital itself, if I talk about it, right, there are certain things which are there. Old learning methods were by video or by, traditionally by reading through, things. Now it is very different. Click-throughs, or you will have gamification, right? You are kind of completely creating a scenario of running a large-scale CapEx project as a project manager And as a project manager, there are different stakeholders that have been given to you, different scenarios, budget constraints, approval requirements, and buy-ins that you have to have with your business. And that is the simulation that you are actually, subjected to kind of, work on as a senior sourcing manager. Now, this is a very hands-on kind of a learning. Now, all of this is enabled through the power of digital. And as I said, right, these are some of the things that, we can look at and leverage the power of digital. The most important thing I just wanted to kind of close, and it is also important, us all being procurement people, it's also about the cost side of it, right? The cost side of it. I think once you have implemented a solution like this, you are actually able to kind of also manage your training costs to a great extent. So I think with that, I will take a pause, and I hope, I've been able to kind of do justice to the question.
Yes. So in this round, we got a lot of inputs about identifying and developing future leaders. So that would mean looking at the various different types of skills, what are their potentials, would continuous learning for them be an important thing, what would be the strategies. Then, as Meenakshi said, in the skill gap identification is a 3-step. It happens at the individual level. It also happens at the group level. It also happens at the, we will not go into the organization, at the procurement level. So we will be able to individually look at a person, train him, and even measure where he is. Finally, Captain Riya gave a very nice elaborate on how e-learning would enhance talent development in the future. So I haven't seen, except for a couple of simulations that happen in procurement from National Procurement USA. It's they have some simulations there available. I haven't seen any other simulations where you can train unskilled people or even college-going students. But eventually, to have digital tools for learning, it can be at a slow pace. It can happen that by this time you have to do it, or if you know that somebody is going into a different position and he has to get it available. So these would be real good things. Some scenario building would be one under a very nice thing. Understanding different stakeholders and how it could be a simulation game also. So I'm saying it's simulation game. So that means only on the digital tool, you can open it up and see what can come in future. Knowing that we do have a skill gap, this only infers to me that yes, we have a skill gap in India specifically, and we need to train procurement officials, whether they are at the lower rungs or they are at the leadership positions. So with this, I go into a second round of questions, and I would like to seek certain challenges. So, Mr. Vinoth Kumar, if you would be able to tell us what is the biggest challenge facing the development of procurement talent, with all the points that we did get in the first round. So I would like to have just 2 challenges. If you tell me, that would be really good, and we elaborate on the 2 of them.
The biggest challenge that we face in developing the procurement talent is adapting to the rapid pace of change in the field, most particularly due to the advancements in technology and sustainability demands, which is emerging now, and more importantly, the global supply chain complexities. As we all know, the procurement is evolving from a cost-saving function to a strategic value driver.
Yeah.
So it requires a new set of skills such as like data analytics, digital procurement technologies, and sustainability management. Now we can see more organizations, they are struggling with ensuring their procurement team, whether they are equipped with the necessary technical and leadership skills to meet their demands. In traditional procurement training, it was merely focusing on the traditional aspects, but today's talent needs broader capabilities in areas like supply risk management, contract negotiation, and the ability to integrate the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and blockchain. Additionally, we can find a talent gap when it comes to soft skills such as like strategic thinking, stakeholder management, and leadership abilities. To how to overcome this challenge? To overcome this challenge, organizations need to invest in continuous learning and development programs, focusing on both the technical expertise and also on leadership growth. A structured approach to mentorship, cross-functional exposure, and hands-on experience with the real-world projects can help to bridge the gap and develop procurement talent that is prepared for the future.
Okay. So a real world exam, how have you taken it in your organization, a real world example? How do you have any, is there anything?
Yes, getting connected with the industry trends because since I belong to the healthcare industry, we can see
Yeah.
a rapid pace in the change, evolvement in the medical equipments. So, an experience on with the real world projects, it is really
Availability of
required, is
digital
very
twins.
crucial.
Digital twins is very important in the healthcare sector for this purpose. Yeah, it is changing that way. So those would be the real world examples. I got that. Right. So Meenakshi, we would also ask you a few challenges. So because in your CV, I read that you have a professional certificate, right? So how would it be the role of professional certifications play in talent development? What could be the possible few challenges there?
Thank you, Saroj ma'am. I will surely explain the role of professional certification in talent development, and I also would like to add how important it is to have a professional certification and how it impacts our career as well. Because I myself is benefited because of this. The professional development certificate programs, they offer a cluster, so many courses that provide knowledge and training in a specific competency. Like the CPSM from ISM, they mainly focus on the supply management. The knowledge and the skills that you gain can be used immediately in the workplace and offer you a applied knowledge, to help you to stay current. Supposedly, if you want to know what is happening in the supply chain practices and all, I openly admit I came to know about this Sarbanes-Oxley Act and all when I was doing my CPSM course way back in 2018. So it helps us to understand what are the things going on in the current industry and helps us to stay abreast of those development. And it also offers you the information to help us to be an effective manager and a leader as well. And it helps us to prepare for a new field or career. If I want to change, the career from maybe from procurement to this warehouse management or something like that, there are also certifications being offered by the other agencies, and it helps us to gain the skills for our advancement even in this current procurement function itself. After having done the course, I have acquired some skills and that helped me in my career. And one more thing, completion of a certificate demonstrates, it is a commitment of oneself to master a specific body of knowledge, and the breadth and depth of skills and understanding that comes from the learning that we are doing. And it shows our dedication to the professional advancement. So this is all the certification. Having a certification helps you out. And we have to keep the following benefits in mind. Hello.
Because of the paucity. I will cut you here because of the paucity of times. I got your 2-3 challenges in your from you, right? Thank you very much. So we will now move to Captain Riya. So now that we received a couple of challenges, for example, continuous learning, mentorship, having real world examples, work on specific competency, stay current of development, Capital Riya, I would like to ask you some best practices in talent development at Infosys.
Sure, I'll be happy to talk about that. I just wanted to add a point to what Meenakshi was also talking about in terms of certifications. I think it's very important. The certifications are actually, the value is twofold. One is to the organization itself, and the second one is to the employee in their own journey path. So I think from both perspectives, a certification, if it's the right certification, would matter. But a couple of things which I do kind of miss out is that many times certifications do not give practical hands-on knowledge or understanding of digital solutions, which many of the the stalwarts in this space like ISM, they have kind of been able to sail past. But I think that will be very important. And now coming to your question, Saroj, I think one thing I remember before I actually get into the best practices at Infosys is many years back, I was a part of a very large scale implementation of a warehouse management solution in the Indian Army. And we had a very large depot with almost like 500, 800 people. Starting level was a labor, and then moving into, packers, and then people, at different levels who were stocking, binning, and all of those things. Now to implement, this kind of a solution in this environment, people said it's unheard of. But I think the way that, Army works is quite structured, right? So we had very detailed programs. And I remember sitting down, firstly, as part of very detailed learning and training programs as we implemented this. And then, over a period of time, working with each, person in the, at every level to see how, they would learn. And every person, at every level, I could see they were able to, take it up. So I think learning that's some, there's merit in saying that this is a very positive sign. And I think that people are very, I would say, if given the right chance, they are able to scale up. So I just wanted to I just remembered, when you asked that question. But now coming to Infosys, I think there are two things that I would like to call out as best practices. One of the things that Infosys did back in 2020, we decided to move from a structure to a more of a skill-based organization, which means that, everything that you do is linked to the skill that you are, that you are kind of developing. So your incentives and many things are also linked to the skill side of it. So there is a skill tag program that was launched in 2022 across different domains, and sourcing and procurement services was also one of the areas where this, this program was launched. Now, what happens, I was talking about, in my previous, when I spoke about that each level, of growth, there is mapped to a learning journey. Now that journey mapped to also a skill. So in a typical scenario, you will be a procurement expert coming more on doing peer-to-peer kind of work, and then moving into, say, doing a little bit of tactical sourcing, spot buys, and small events, and then moving on to, managing sourcing, and then even looking at categories. You create a niche for yourself, and you learn how to manage a category, and you become a specialist in that, or you are an industry expert in the industry area that you are. So this whole journey is mapped through a skill tag program. And there is, at every level, there is a set of trainings. Now, these trainings are different types. There is a domain training. So which, when I was talking about domain will have, this entire understanding of your, your sourcing and procurement, supply chain, at more of a, I would say, a theoretical level. That is your starting point. And then there are other things which get into it, like practical aspects of it. How do you negotiate better? How do you, how do you kind of derive value from your, even from your low spend? How do you look at compliances to actually add, contract compliances to add value to your sourcing? There is no leakage. These are the kind of practical trainings, that we work with. And then it gets into the digital side of it. Within digital, there are multiple types of trainings. One is in terms of how do you kind of report and dashboard. So Excel-based trainings, something very important. Excel-based trainings using Tableau to kind of, also do, I think Vinodji mentioned that, you need to have a structured approach to business partnering, right? You are able to articulate your value proposition to business. So that is also a kind of training which is included in this. And then there are things like behavioral, how to be at different levels, it's different, right? At some levels, it could be just email and behavioral training, because we work with global clients. And so, it would be at that level. And then it would even get into things like where you are mentoring senior people to do well. So this is all mapped as part of your skill tags, and there are incentives which are attached to each of the levels. So this is something that we have implemented, and over, I think in last year we have almost given almost like the incentives have been in the range of 2 crores plus for a team of, say, you can say about about 1,000, 1,500 people who have gone through this journey of skill tags. So this is something that I wanted to kind of share in terms of learning. And
It's very absolutely clear that all of the panelists have now given their what is happening currently, what we would like to do, and how we would like to proceed. So there are several learnings that I took from here. I would not like to touch upon the first portion where we said what we want, why we want to do, and where we are. But I will come on to how we are encountering these challenges, right? So continuous learning, mentorship again, then looking at the supply chain risks, looking at the stakeholders, understanding sustainability, looking at specific competency. That was wonderful by Meenakshi. Staying current of development, that is wonderful. Like Incoterms here, nobody mentioned about them. So I have been, because I work I work in JSPL, that is Jindal. So we have to work on dealing with people out of the country, and Incoterms becomes a very important thing when you sell steel to outsiders, or when you procure something from there. So you need to stay current in the development also. So understanding the WMS would indicate that we would like to have certain modules from various companies who do certifications to show us basically how they go and how the processes is happening. For example, in a warehouse, how pick is happening, how pack is happening, how voice is happening, and how the things move, or how these Kiva robots like at Amazon, how they move and how they pick up all the stuff and they send it to the right customer, right? So skill-based is a wonderful example. It happens in most of the companies, but at a very low level. But your example in procurement was a wonderful thing. So I feel we can all collectively say that yes, procurement is a domain, a specific domain of the supply chain management. It happens at every place, whether it is a vendor, whether it is manufacturing, whether it's a transporter, whether it's a warehouse, or whether it is even reverse logistics. So it happens every time. And for this, what is happening today, because we go into some MBA program, into engineering, and then we join. Like she read, I'm an electrical engineer. I have never worked on I have worked on a turbine also, that is true. But I have, the thought was not that I will work in procurement department. I worked in a procurement department, contracts department also. So now we would like to go to, if there are any questions from the panel that we would address, or if selected questions could be given and we can respond to them. Yeah. Arun, have you time?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Saroj. But because we are running short of time, we won't be able to take questions.
No problem. Just let us know the questions and I will respond to them. So I thank the audience, and I thank all my panelists who enlightened us on the much needed development of specific talent in the procurement domain and the importance of certification. Together, we also thank the event organizers, PPAI, ISM-INDIA, the World Bank, ADB, AIIB, New Development Bank, and it will be very important for us to look at the certifications from ITC Geneva, because those are the gold standard of the world for putting in this, basically this specific conference IPC 2024. Can we give a round of applause to them? Thank you again, and we close now. Thank you very much.
thank you all.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you.
Thank you, panelists.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Before I take over the floor, I want to thank you. I enjoyed listening to you guys. Dr. Saroj Koul, Captain Riya was there, then Mr. Chandran also was the Vinoth Kumar, and friend Meenakshi. excellent. I know you talked about a lot about the gaps and soft skill, hard skill, challenges. I was enjoying all of them, but certainly
Okay.
I'll try to summarize now when I make
Yes.
the final.
So I have been hearing this for the past 20, 25 years.
I know we all have been here. I
So
was
how
thinking
really to
about
get
new
it? So
concept
every time we say the
before I
word
forget.
flux.
In the US, we were doing the capstone assignment, and we did for one company here. The capstone assignment mean you learn something. We tell them, come on, you guys come up with the project.
Wonderful, wonderful,
Those become the
excellent.
project and they have to implement and they are awarded. And it was done in Reliance. We did it for another company where we said, guys, learning is one thing, but tell us what you will implement, what change you will bring. And that they have to implement with the help of their supervisor. Then we score them and then we give them award. That is called the capstone. All business school people go, you know it. In a
Wonderful. Yes,
US,
we have a capstone program.
everybody
always.
goes to capstone.
Right, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Mr. Lal is
Okay, guys.
also here, so it is so nice.
So let me now jump